Alright guys, welcome back. So, IGN recently dropped an 11-minute gameplay demo of Tides of Annihilation, which this certainly helps give us a better idea as to sort of how this game works. We talked quite in depth about Tides of Annihilation in the previous video, going over all of the information we currently know about it. It is absolutely along the lines of being a hack and slash DMC-like, which is fantastic. We've been talking about how recently it seems as if there is a resurgence or a renaissance of character-driven action games. The games we used to play on PS2 or Xbox 360 coming back. I think that Souls-like is starting to die out a little bit, and that genre is being replaced by this genre. We love to see it. It's been a long time coming. I've already watched this gameplay about 3 times now, and there's a lot of interesting stuff. I definitely have some thoughts. So we're just going to run through the entire demo, and I'm going to talk about stuff along the way. Right off the bat, visuals, mwah, like, gorgeous. I was saying in the first video talking about this game that, like, I don't know, the art direction of this game and its themes blending a medieval Arthurian fantasy world in with a modern day setting is so cool. This is definitely unique compared to what we've seen with other action games.
A car? It's too small. It's a baby carriage. Ah, a baby. I'm so sorry for everything that's happened to you.
So, this appears like you're a companion, I suppose? Ninian, I think her name might be. And it seems as if she is from the world of Avalon, the fantasy world. In case you guys don't know, Gwendolyn right here, the main character, is from the world we know, modern day London. And she is accompanied by the secondary character, which, cool little fact, it seems like she can transform into various things, like the bird we just saw before, along with even your sword. I think the sword is actually that girl, which is kind of cool. Double jump, air dash. Nice. We love to see that kind of movement in these types of games. So we get our first little slice at combat right here. So just to explain, like, kind of what's going on here and more about the combat system, I described it as being quite close to Final Fantasy XVI's icon system, how you could basically use the abilities of the different summons for 16's combat. It's pretty much the same thing here. It's a really, really cool system. So we can see that right now this knight is selected, and you can select the knights in real time, and depending on what one you have selected gives you access to a range of different abilities. The current one right here is the red guy right there, the hand-to-hand combat dude, so heavy hits. You can see an execution take place, and then the other knight was the blue ice knight. Who looks like more kind of fast attacks, on top of also being able to do like an uppercut type ice move. And then we go, an aerial finish as well. We'll also notice a third knight down the bottom here. Now the selector only gives you access to select from left to right. The bottom knight is actually the green knight that will appear as the players performing the combat here, who performs ranged based attacks. So I don't know if the third knight is an additional ability you simply select. You're going to be able to switch around what knights you want to have active, by the way. So again, very similar to Final Fantasy XVI. The other thing is too, we do have a resource gauge right here, the blue gauge, and it'll cost, as you can see right there, there is the ranged knight, but it'll cost some of that blue resource gauge. So let's just call it mana, for instance, to use some of the abilities. The cool thing is though, this automatically replenishes over time, and also the enemy's health is displayed via the lock-on reticle. It also seems as if enemies do have a stagger bar, and if that stagger bar, even though it's not visible, I imagine for the final version it probably will be visible. Once that stagger bar depletes, we can perform what we're seeing right here, a finisher. So, you know, think like God of War or something like that. The other gauge that we have right here is if we press down L3 and R3, this will activate, like we see also in God of War or other action games like Final Fantasy XVI, sort of like an ultimate mode. All of your attacks become enhanced, you're just stronger, and that will activate for a certain duration. Now, this game does have some like Souls-likey type elements to it. So the currency that you acquire after you kill an enemy, right up the top right here, it's known as a turn. And just like a Souls-like, there are rest locations that act as like the checkpoint system, I suppose you could say, of the game, and if you die, you'll respawn back at that rest spot. There, you'll be able to strengthen your character. So there are Souls-like elements, but remember, this is not a Souls-like. There are difficulty options. This is very much more of an action-eccentric game than it is to do with Souls-like. But there will be Souls-like elements within Tides of Annihilation. Now, this portal thing right here is known as a fold, so no doubt we'll find a bunch of these throughout the game, but they basically send Gwendolyn into this almost Inception type area, as you can see, which is super cool. Like, the entire level transforms before our eyes. You know, the power of SSD working its magic right there. Very cool, though. It just gets out the gate weird. Crazy stuff. So it's like a little, I don't know, I guess chase sequence of sorts, a little like platforming segment. Absolutely trippy. Super strange. But I love it. This is just adding to like the whole atmosphere of this game is wacky, weird, strange. I don't know, there's elements of this game that give me vibes of Forspoken, then also at the same time, and I really don't know why, but kind of like Ninja Theory's DMC a little bit with the weird and wacky takes they had with some of the level design in that game. And that's a really good thing. I actually enjoyed that game as much as people kind of hated it. So that's that big whale thing that we saw in the first trailer that was coming out of the Thames River. And it's got like this city or something built on its back. Very cool. And here we're going to take a look at our very first rest spot. So this is known as a fog crystal. And while we don't see the level up portion or anything like that to use the Etern, I'm sure it's not present just for the purpose of the demo. Now this is going to be our first little look at like an environmental puzzle. So we're going to break that. But then we can actually press R2 to summon the support knight right there. So the support knight, that's the third knight that was a part of the heads-up display. The one that can't actually be selected, but rather I'm assuming you can just call them in, use a special ability. But it seems like they can also be used to solve environmental puzzles. Now, whoever's playing this doesn't really explore this area. They just solved the puzzle, and then they're going to shoot straight through that window there. But you can see over here to the right, there is a chest. So there's a little bit of like exploration and stuff that you can do. You can just tread down the path. Most of the gameplay that we've seen so far, I mean, this game looks as traditional as a hack and slash character action game gets. It looks very linear, so kind of don't go into it expecting large wide open areas. Who knows? There might be that, but from what we've seen, it's very linear. And I mean, that's a good thing, because these games have always been incredibly linear. But it looks like there's going to be a few areas that might be a little bit more open, where there's a chest or something that you can grab. And then we're going to see like a little grapple shot thing here. So no doubt that will also be used in the environment at some point too. So we can see Nihane. I don't know her name, but she transformed into her human form. And we will see her transform into the sword. So, I don't know, Soul Eater vibes maybe?
Did you come here just to get upset?
Mordred.
With me?
Also, can we just appreciate the character animations and how good the models look? I'm kind of falling in love with Gwendolyn a little bit. I think she's a hottie. I think she's a hottie. I think people are gonna fall in love with her. But yeah, man, I don't know, the theme of this game is just so cool. Also lip syncing too. English lip syncing. This is a good thing because Black Myth Wukong doesn't have English lip syncing. So considering this is a Chinese developed game, it's cool to see that. I was a little bit worried about that, but the English lip syncing, the animations are here. That is a very Forspoken moment right there. Okay, so we get our first look at a boss fight. Now, I was mentioning the stagger bar and how the enemies have a stagger bar. We can actually see that stagger bar here for Mordred. So if that empties, we can basically perform the finisher on her, but you'll notice we too also have the same yellow bar up the top. The gameplay just cut right there, and now the player's stagger bar is kind of half full. You can see it auto-replenishing, which is interesting. And we also have a different support knight. That gold guy that was just summoned is another support knight. So I don't know if there'll be like different categories of like, you can have the active knights, ones you switch between with the left or the right on the D-pad and use their abilities, and then you've got the support knights, which pretty much just get called in on a button press and they perform some sort of support-based ability or something. How the arena just changed to incredibly cool. This looks so gorgeous, by the way. It's funny, we're starting to get games that actually do look next gen compared to the previous generation. So yeah, games like Stellar Blade or Black Myth Wukong certainly look a step up from what we were seeing on PS4. So it's cool that like now that we're over the halfway point of this generation, games that look like they're actually made for these systems are starting to come through. Because my god, the reflection on the ground just looks so good. Nice dodge. I'm not too sure where it is, but there is like a double dodge as well, so you can dodge and then dodge again to do another dodge and do a backflip, which is cool. There's those like mid-boss fight cinematics as well, something we're used to seeing within like Final Fantasy 16 or Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth Remake. Those are becoming pretty common now with action games. Frame rate just kind of drags ass here with all of these thrill arrows being flicked around. You'll notice the stagger bar just lowered from taking a hit. But I mean, it looks great. It like super fast paced. The down slam, the jump down slam, we love to see it. That right there was a parry as well. So there is a parry system. Boom. Very good. We love a good parry system. And in just a second, the L3 and R3 mode will activate. Yeah, so this is it right here. So all of your normal attacks like that, they are now enhanced. So like blades come out with each slash and you've got like a finishing move. Super cool. You know, pretty standard, typical stuff when it comes to action games, but cool to have. And there's the finisher. Her stagger bar was completely emptied, and now we can perform the finisher to end the fight. So, I don't know, man. This just looks as character action game as character action games get. Like, incredibly DMC. I've seen a lot of people saying that this basically just looks like female Devil May Cry. And yeah, it's basically like that. As much as they are saying that this is an action-adventure game, I just feel like it kind of leans more into the hack and slash genre. Maybe that's not really an established genre, considering it's sort of been a dead genre for a little while over in China, but I would classify this as being a lot more hack and slash than just straight up character adventure, because something like, I don't know, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, or God of War is more action adventure, or Spider-Man or something like that. You know, we've got action and there is adventure, I get that, but I don't know, the hack and slash DNA is just so, like, old school. Like, this is just, I don't know, it's great to see these games coming back, man. We got a little highlight reel of some of the other moments throughout the game. A lot of variety going on, too, so, as we know, there's over, I think, like 30 bosses or something they mentioned. It's a variety in the environment design as well. I feel like, though, we've already seen so much of this game, and it's only existed for the past 2 days. So shout out to the devs for not fucking around and taking so long to show this off. I've already seen people, like, moaning, too. Like, why would you announce the game when it's so far away? Bro, the game is slated for 2026. That means that, like, if it comes out next year, it'll be like a year and a bit. Imagine if this was the case with Kingdom Hearts 4, where they dropped a trailer, then the next day they drop like an 11-minute gameplay demo, and then the next year the game comes out. Can you imagine? There's gonna be some insane tech here. And you can see the charge up. Oh, so good. So good. That is literally the Titan charge up punch attack, man, from Final Fantasy 16. But yeah, it looks like there's gonna be some cool tech, and mixing and melding which 2 active knights you have to kind of combine their abilities together. Again, very similar to what we see in 16, Basically, if you enjoyed 16, I think you're gonna get a real kick out of this. I would say that some of the devs who have been working on Tides of Annihilation were big fans of Final Fantasy 16. This game came out of literally nowhere, no one even knows the devs behind this game, and yet this is one of the most exciting things on my radar right now. I love the fact that we're getting so much new talent coming through, especially from the Eastern side. It goes to show that Eastern developers are really starting to up their game. This is the sort of video game that gamers have been yearning for. So shout out to Eclipse Glow Games. I don't know, you guys are cooking up a nice tasty turkey right here. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, guys. Slap that like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything going on here. A big thank you to my wonderful patrons. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk again real soon.